Hello, everybody. Well, I'm still waiting for people to show up, but welcome aboard to Faye's Angels. I want to welcome everyone who haven't appeared yet, but they will be. Uh, I'm excited and honored to have my guest on this show, Michelle Desrochers. Am I pronouncing it right?
Doing well.
Is it all right? Michelle is my guest, and she can be heard every Wednesday and Thursday evenings on the Outer Realm, which is also broadcast on the UPRN and UFO Paranormal Radio Network and on ROKU TV. Michelle is an international figure. She's often called upon by media to advise, create, and consult. She is co-producer to the very popular radio show, The Outer Realm, who also co-hosts with Amelia Pisano. There's strange things happening to my thing right now. So, Michelle, we'll just wait for some people to come on. I'm sure they're just kind of waiting to get on. I don't know where they are, but
No, that's okay.
yeah, we had a little chat beforehand, and it was quite. Oh, it's always fascinating to talk to you, because you have had so many experiences, and we talked about that. One of them was, of course, I, first of all, Michelle, you're one of the most interesting people that I've encountered so far, and I just kind of want to know, where did this kind of begin? Do you have a beginning? Do you
Do I have a
have a
beginning? Oh, wow. Yes, actually. I started really early on, realistically. I mean, as a child, I could see spirit people. I'm just going to add the YouTube. Maybe my people will pop in
Oh,
too.
okay. So
Um, I've come from a family, that was very open to otherworldly things. So it wasn't discouraged in me because I always tell people don't discourage people if you can, like children. It's very important. Imaginary friends sometimes are not imaginary. So when I would see somebody like a family member or maybe somebody who wasn't, I was really good because my mother, who comes from that sort of a family as well, would show me pictures, or she wouldn't lead me, but she wouldn't discourage me either, so I could speak openly about it, and that
hmm
was really helpful.
it's cool. I have a daughter. I have two daughters. One of them, Tanya, was on my last episode, but I have another daughter, second born daughter, who had imaginary friends
Mm,
beginning at age 4, or age, you know, probably around 4, because she was talking more fluently.
right.
She also took a lot of time even talking. This my Erin.
Mhm.
But then when she started talking, she just didn't stop hardly. And one of the things is, and I can say this freely, she doesn't care.
Right.
But one of them, at age 4, she came to me and she says, I have I heard her talking in the bedroom, and I said, "Erin, what are you doing? Who are you talking to?" "Oh, Shelley." "Oh, okay. Who's Shelley?" "Well, she's sitting right there." I said, "Okay, hi, Shelley." And
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
had enough, like, I don't know, maybe I read something, or my sister, who's so much wiser than me in raising children, I felt, um, to appreciate the creativity, at least, of our kids, and not to poo-poo them or to make fun of them or say, "I don't believe in that," stuff like that. So,
Right.
although I didn't see Shelley, um, I said, "Oh, well, I'm glad to see her there." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that looked like.
Mhm.
But soon we're setting up another table, setting at the table, and it was
Right.
awesome. So anyway, thanks for joining us. I have some friends coming on already, and from Facebook. Thank you. If you can, guys, go to. I have actually a YouTube channel. It is called Faye's Angels. So if you do want to join us on my YouTube channel, it's YouTube. Go to YouTube and look for Faye's Angels, and you should be able to see me there as well. But if you want to watch me on Facebook, that's great too. But we have on the show here uh, this wonderful lady, Michelle Desiree. Oh gosh,
DeRoche, it's a tongue twister. I had to get
Desrochers.
used to it too. Right.
And who has a fabulous show on UPRN and UFO Paranormal Radio Network and on ROKU TV. She's been on a lot of other like she was featured in some other projects called Paranormal Survivor, which I watched from seasons 2 through 5, Haunted Case Files seasons 1 and 2, My Paranormal Nightmare, My Worst Nightmare, Hotel Paranormal, All About Paranormal. You were there helping out people who had experiences and explaining to the people what that was, how to deal with them, and all of that. Michelle also knows a lot and has had experiences extraterrestrial. So, folks, if you have any questions at all, anywhere between paranormal and extraterrestrial, please join in and ask the questions. But um, yeah,
Mhm.
Michelle was talking about her experiences as a young child, and I suppose things just kind of got. Were you helping people when you were a young
Um,
child too, or
n-
did you just do
I
that
wasn't
later?
quite there. I think I was trying to help myself because,
Sure.
things would come in and out for me. And as I got into adolescent years, which is a typical time, especially for young girls going through puberty or women going through menopause, by the way, because those are the two times in a woman's life where our emotions and our bodies are changing simultaneously.
Mhm.
And with that being said, I ended up something came in that was pretty malevolent and stayed with me for about, well, God, I would say, probably a good chunk of, my life. But the first, I would say, 5 to 8 years was really tough because I was probably about 8 and it went on till I was about, well, let's say 18, so 10 years. But it peaked out at about 14, 15. And back then, it's not like we had a lot of paranormal television. It's not like we certainly
Yeah.
didn't have the internet. So the best I could do to figure out what was happening, I had enough sense to know something wasn't right because of all of the experiences that were happening to me. So I went to the public library and I actually found a book on witchcraft and how to do cleansings, like just how to cleanse your space and how to ground your energy, things like that. And I started learning that um, mindset was very important. And I started teaching myself how to be more in control. And I was able to get myself clear
Wow.
and watch everything that was happening to my family. It's a real eye opener. So I had firsthand experiences and it set precedents for when I did get into the paranormal. I've been doing this about 20 years and I've been doing, every type of media for just as long. It just seemed to, to find me and my colleague at the time and I went on solo for a long time, but I did that so people could find me. And I have always made it a point of educating people on how to be control, how important it is to ground your energy, how important it is to keep your mindset positive and raise vibrations and things like that. Negative things cannot survive in a positive space, which is why there's so much effort on their part to, put you in a darker place. So amping up, things like anxiety, depression, addictions, creating havoc within the space, arguing and fighting, instilling fear, working on your health. You don't sleep, you don't eat right. You just stay in a
Mhm.
weakened state. Like the list goes on and on and on. So that's where it became an education process. Because at one point I was like backed up 2 years, and just working with people online or through the phone and changing everything that's going on up here. By the time I actually had an opening, they're like, no, we're good. You gave us all the tools we needed. We did this ourselves. I'm like, that's always the objective.
Wow. So are you finding time to be able to help people nowadays, or are you pretty are you still doing that? Are you still
Um,
practicing, I guess is what I'm wanting to say, or
yeah. Well, I'm semi-retired from film. I obviously I do the radio show. I will do print, articles, things like that.
oh,
I will do documentaries. I still do documentaries. But when it comes to helping people, it's very part-time now, and I have an incredible team, both sides of the ether. And on that team, of course, is my counterpart, Amelia.
yeah.
She's was the last one to come on board, our team. And again, we had to cut down because it was at one point we were probably helping with 60 people a week.
Wow.
And we had to scale it back because there's not enough hours in a day.
Yeah, I'm
It's not,
sure.
it's not so cut and dry like waving a magic wand. It
Well,
can
yeah,
be,
and
but
everybody's progress is like a different,
that's right.
everybody's progress is different.
Correct.
So I was intrigued by what I read about you, and I have been it gave me inspiration to do my own like journey as well, and lot of books, reading a lot of books, and also but I'm very good. I think I'm better when I am able to see it on the video or TV. And one of the things that I mentioned to you beforehand was After Death movie, this most recent documentary movie that talks about near-death experiences, and, you mentioned you had that as well as a young girl, and it
Mhm.
was quite compelling. I was very drawn to that movie because my own husband, of course, has had that and has it and he it and it's obvious that his gift, of being able to help people, connect with their loved ones who have passed.
Mhm.
Um, so, it hi, everybody. This is great that they're coming in on your show as well. Thank you. Your YouTube. Yeah, I guess, folks, just like a shout out, I'm probably so new on the YouTube channel of my angels that it's probably, it might be hard to find right now. So thank you for, you know, dealing with that. But I'm good, I'm grateful for everyone who's coming in. Um, I guess I'm really compelled to talk to you a little bit about, also I watched Project Blue Book about
Mm.
extraterrestrials and the studies that came from 1947. That was all about what the Air Force in the United States was experiencing, these unbelievable experiences pilots were having, and different things that civilians were having, um, and I guess I was, you know, the extraterrestrials was new to me as well.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it was not like I didn't believe that they were here,
Mhm.
just that I didn't know to what degree they were. I had no idea growing up and being
Mhm.
an adult that,
That
uh,
was a thing?
it was really a thing, and now
It's a
it's, like,
thing.
everywhere, and
Yeah.
I didn't
Yes.
poo-poo it really. I just thought, "Wow, this is crazy," But
Yes.
now
Yes. It's been I've had extraterrestrial experiences. Like I'll back up one quick minute. The paranormal and ufology, ET go hand in hand. At least half of the people who I helped who thought they were having paranormal experiences, myself included in some instances, were actually also having extraterrestrial experiences. So that was an eye opener for me when I started seeing these similarities. And for me, I was having them as a child, and I was always drawn to the stars. And before my mom passed, I remember asking her because I know they follow certain lineages at times, and I have a very rich lineage. So I said, do you have memories, um, as a child, or did grandma or grandpa? She goes, oh my gosh, because I mean, my father, even on his side, would say, oh yeah, we used to see, UFOs all the time, and my
what did your father
grandfather,
do? What, just from where he lived, or was he a
Oh yeah, yeah, just up in northern Canada, and
wow,
my grandfather, so much so that, and we're talking way back in the day, he went out and got a telescope, and he would sit it on the front veranda of the house and watch the skies. And then my mom started giving me experiences. I mean, I was getting all kinds of stories coming in, like, and as a child, I used to just sit there and watch the skies all the time at night. I would just sit
okay.
there and wait, and I would see things going around. And I'm aging myself here, but we didn't have a lot of satellites back then, if anything. So just saying. So when I saw something zip across the sky silently, I remember spending about, 20 minutes at one point, watching going down into this craft just coming down. Took about 20 minutes for it to just quietly, because I lived, in a valley, so things echo, and it didn't do that. It was very, very, very silent, and it had, a couple little lights on it, and then it just disappeared. So I sat there for another 10 minutes, and all of a sudden this thing shot right up like a bullet, way up into the sky, stopped, and just booked it. The next day, our little valley was swarmed with military helicopters.
Wow.
So they were clearly, knew something was there. So I'm no stranger to it. Um, and over time, I just forgot about it.
Oh,
Really, I
yeah?
did. I forgot about it. And it was probably about 4 years ago or 5 years ago where I started having little recollections of it. Again, didn't think much of it. But when I was filming one night, driving down along um, a river, and something shot across the road. And I'm thinking it was big enough to be a deer. But when I looked down at the river, it was a 400-foot drop. I'm thinking a deer would need time to run, to leap. And it went up over. If you ever see how high a stop sign is when you stop at a corner at a crossroads, it went
Sure.
over top of that. That's how high it was. But it was iridescent, like translucent. I'm going, what's that? Maybe it's just a big bag. I don't know. But when I looked over, stopped the car, there was nothing there. And there was two of us going. And from that point on, experience after experience after experience, I was getting ready to go to bed one night, and I just laid down, and I looked over, and I could see Gray standing right beside me, probably about 5 feet tall. And my head's just going, oh,
So
for real?
explain to some of the folks that maybe you say you refer to gray,
A gray is a race of extraterrestrial beings. They're the typical ones that you see with the really big heads and the dark eyes. But the eyes that you see are lenses. They're actually not their eyes. They're lenses that they wear over them. Most of them
oh,
actually have blue eyes, big brown blue eyes.
wow.
I know.
Who knew?
Yeah, I know. That's what I said.
So
I was
there are
like, wow.
different species of, do we refer to them as ETs, or do we refer to them as others, or all
Um,
of what do
Again, it,
you
it
say?
really depends because you have different races.
Oh,
You
wow.
have see again, you have some that have been here first. You have some that come from they're interdimensional or they come in dimensionally. We have like reptilian races that were said to be here long before us. You can affiliate those with the Anunnaki. All you have to do, Faye, is
Mhm,
go in to look at ancient texts, including the Bible for people of faith. It's all there.
mhm.
The ancient people emulated what they saw. You look at some of the ancient monuments, look at petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, you will see traces of them everywhere. And they wrote about them, and their oral history told about them. Look at the Hopi,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, right in the US, yeah.
yes, yes.
So so they're here. I believe they're here. So, is there a purpose, or is it do they like us? Do they wanna I mean, they've been here for forever, or for a long time, or
Mm,
for maybe millions of years,
mhm,
but, and here the Earth is still here. We're here.
mhm,
What, are they here to help? Are they here
mm.
to do we
There's we're not the first kick at the can on this planet, as I say. There's probably 4 or 5 other renditions of humanity, or individuals who've resided on here. If you look at out of place artifacts, or you get into locations that have been discovered, there are mines that are 250 billion years old that
Say that
clearly,
again.
yes,
How many years old?
250, they believe,
Billion?
billion. Others are, you're getting into a 300 million different sites. They have found out of place artifacts that look like they're from here, but are, when you test them, they go back hundreds of thousands of years. So there's a lot out there. Also, bear in mind, we lost 2 continents. There are 2 continents underwater right now that we know where they are. They've been discovered. Can you imagine what's there, or the technology that might be there? We are not the first kick at the can, and hopefully we're not the last kick at the
Right.
can.
Well, we're not doing a really good job right now, are we?
No, we don't play nice in the sandbox at Alpha.
Oh God.
I
I
think I think as to why they're here, it's just like they're probably just thinking, "Oh my gosh." But there are so many enlightened people. This is part of our evolution. I believe we're a species with amnesia. I
yeah.
believe that there's so much that we know that we just can't tap into, because everything they put in the food, everything that's in the environment, everything, they hinder our growth. It hinders our growth. And I think when you talk about near death experiences, it opens you up in a different way where you can tap back into it. Heck, even people who have claimed to have been a contactee, I don't like to use the word abductee, but in some cases it's what it is, you know, have come back with reports of being super psychic. Like their
Mm.
intuition has just went, and it's like they're helping along with that. That's the message. Wake up.
Yeah, and so you say that, you and I interrupted you to explain the way a person I interrupted you a couple times, but you had a gray uh being next to you,
Mm.
right? And in bed, right? You were going to sleep,
Yeah.
or and
Yeah, no,
so
yeah, I was still awake. I had
oh,
different experiences after what happened when with the being going over the road.
oh yeah, right.
One of the experiences, and this all happened like really fast within, because you're connected telepathically, especially if you're an experiencer. They're there. You just don't remember it. But I
Okay.
finally one night said, "Okay, okay, okay," like a child. Okay, 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 I'll do it. And the first experience, I had this big flash of light come through the second floor. Now, our manor home had it was really tall up, because the ceilings were 10, 12 feet high, right? And we had a
Okay,
tower
sure.
that was lit up by a street light, and it lit up the whole upstairs. So traffic lights, like if you come around a corner, your lights couldn't reach up that high, because I know I tested the theory after I had the experience of this bright light came right through the windows, hit the mirror in the ensuite, and bounced back out. 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm getting ready for bed, and I look, because again, the whole upstairs is lit up, and I see a gray in front of me, which is, a being. And he stood there, or she, and he had like a suit on, and it almost looked like, I always compare them to dolphins or whales, like the skin, the thickness, it's just like the texture, everything.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it, and all I remember saying was, "Nope." And I
Oh.
rolled over. And that was it. I just was not ready for that. Despite me saying, "Okay, okay." It's
Yeah.
like whenever they come around, and I know they're around because people have seen things, when I'm doing the radar, so they've seen things behind me, especially at the other house, because it was easy for them to hide. So much so, in fact, that we closed off the whole second floor because we weren't using it. And we just left it dark, because it got to a point where
Oh.
that light that used to light up the whole upstairs, it's like the whole upstairs went dark. And yet I'm looking at that light. It's almost like there was something over the house just to keep it from. So it was weird. So we just said, okay, whatever. We're not using the whole house. It doesn't matter. It's just the two of us. So we'd hear things all the time.
Are you still there at the same house?
No,
Is
no,
it
we sold
you
it.
sold it? Because this
Aliens included. Just saying, I'm kidding. But no, we sold the house, and we ended up no, not very far from it. But
mhm,
we still get visits. And the beautiful thing about it now is just like when we first moved in here, because the other house was haunted as well. But it was habitual with the spirit residents. They weren't stuck. They were there in visitation. They did certain things and ET did other things. So we learned to differentiate what was what. But here, I remember saying to Wayne, I said, listen, he goes, what? I'm going, nothing. Isn't it great? There's nothing. It is quiet
oh, oh,
except for music.
oh,
We hear frequencies and music all the time.
who's bringing that to you? Do you know? Do you have
Well,
a
it's
feeling?
it's different. It's really different. Um, Sometimes it's choirs. It sounds like angels almost, or
Mm,
like a church choir. Other times it's
mhm,
very Norse. It's a lineage thing, I'm sure
okay.
in some cases. And the strange thing is when my mom was in the hospital, we didn't realize she was going to pass. It was just very pretty quick. For about 6 weeks, it was every single night, every single day. I could hear it all the time. Frequencies, just picking up on things. When she passed, everything stopped. And
Wow.
before my mother passed, a friend of hers who was very gifted said to her, she goes, the angels are singing for you. Because my mother and her
Oh,
angels, it was just that, that was her thing. And darned if maybe they weren't, because some of the stuff I was hearing was would bring you to a brink of tears, emotion, the beauty
sure.
of it. But it stopped with her passing. And that was in the beginning of April. So if anything, maybe 5 times I've heard it since then, except now it's happening again. Now I'm on high alert. Okay, who's going? I'm just
Oh,
like, I'm always afraid to ask, but I'm hoping that's not the only reason they come in, but I have no other explanation.
wow, that's crazy. I mean, it must be so beautiful to hear that too. I mean, coming from heaven.
Breathtaking, breathtaking,
Breathtaking.
emotional. So emotional. Yeah,
Okay, I wanna just share with you, um, Carol said she heard her mom after she passed. She said that it was beautiful. The
it is.
music, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's beautiful. Even when they speak to you after death, it's just so like, especially like for me, I could hear things at times just with my ears, not telepathically. And
okay.
it's crazy because you get this beautiful, gentle voice of my mother. I'm trying to meditate one day. Bam! I'm like, did
Oh,
you have to wait for me to go down this far? It's
so, let me just digress and maybe get back. I mean, if this is, if this is resonating with people who are watching, I mean, I just recently, uh, had the wonderful experience of, having an angel clearing, uh, done on me.
Mhm.
I mean, we there's this healing center, like, a block away from our, own office in this little town that we live in Wisconsin, and I think they've been, there for about a year, but I didn't notice them until Roger went in there one day, and he talked to the owner and, angels everywhere. I mean, on the wall, I mean, everything, and he says, "Faye, you need to go in there and see this." Well, I went and visited them, and I was oh, I mean, I looked like I was supposed to be there. I did have that experience. She, helped me through, an angelic clearing,
Very nice.
and, I have to say, she's going to be one of my guests on, later on in December.
Lovely.
I know, and, I it was almost like a spiritual it was spiritual.
An awakening.
It was awakening. I
Yeah.
felt the presence of all the angels, the guides were there. I
Mhm.
mean, I am so grateful for the experience, I just can't tell you.
It makes you
S
feel lighter, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does, and loved. I mean, I have not had a near-death experience that I know of, and I oh, there's my darling, Maria. This is, This is Roger's daughter, Maria, and she has been listening since the beginning. You guys were right. Michelle's who I needed to hear. Yes, I'm so glad you joined us. She was busy working, and then she put us on, I'm sure, on her phone and traveled home, and now she's here saying hello. I'm glad she's here.
Very nice. Well, hello.
Maria's gifted too. I mean, she is finding herself like her father, and they talk a lot. And I'm very excited about her, what is happening with her as well. But yeah, that whole experience gave me an insight to my own self. You
Mm,
know, there's
right.
nothing like it, right? There's just nothing like it. It was. I do meditate. I'm sure you do. I mean, I'm assuming you also do a lot of meditation yourself, right?
No, I don't do a lot, and
Oh,
I
you
get
don't.
chastised for it.
Oh, okay.
I have my spirit people's like, because apparently my guides say I don't listen very well. I do. I go to the beat of my own drum. I always say I can't help it. I
This
have
is
no
confession
time.
of Michelle. I love it. Okay,
I
good. We'll
know.
take it to skinny.
I know. I have no time.
I know you
But
don't.
and it gets a bit crazy because for me to meditate, I it doesn't take me long, and next thing you know,
Sure.
I'm just like, you know, right on
Right in
top of
there.
me, and I'm hearing things, and
Okay.
I don't know. It's just like I just don't have time to deal with it all,
Well, I find it important for me. I mean, I think it has helped. I mean, I'm not like an everyday meditation lady, but when
right?
I was getting this an angel clearing, it was definitely a type of meditation. It was opening up my third eye was creaking open,
Mhm.
and it was a crazy experience. I
Isn't it
mean,
great though?
honestly,
Yeah.
I am so happy that I did that, and I hope to do it again.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, there's no limit.
no, there's no limits. No,
Have fun.
I know. I mean, nothing like finding out who you really are. I'm sure you've found out who you really are through all this experience. You can't help but just know who you.
Maybe it's along the lines of remembering who we
Okay.
really are,
Mhm.
because I, you know, go get yourself a good hypnosis, go get hypnotized, get a hypnosis
Oh,
session, taking yourself back. I have just had people come through. In my line of work, I end up with a lot of really gifted people who
mhm.
often just fly messages off at me just out of the blue. I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Telepathically or,
No, no, through readings. Yeah, I'll get
okay, through
messages
readings.
everywhere. And it's
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
for me to keep up with messages because I get over 100 messages a day at least. That's like pretty much Facebook, not counting everywhere else. So I
I'm
always tell
sure.
people, if you haven't heard from me, put a little emoji and bounce back up or something, because it's really hard to keep up with everything. I don't communicate on social media much for that reason, but
Okay.
people will send me little messages, and it's really fascinating to me, on the things people pick up. But I have had readings from some of the most gifted people in the world because I work worldwide, and I have had sessions that were just mind blowing. I have had, regressions. I've had phenomenal things. And when I say the dead speak, the dead do speak, and they will come and tell you everything about yourself within a degree, as long as it doesn't change too much about your path, because you're not really allowed to do that. You have to be careful with
Yeah.
that. Because my grandfather used to be notorious for trying to like blabber off information he wasn't supposed to. And you'd hear him get chastised by a woman. That's enough now. And he'd
Oh,
keep
wow.
talking. She goes, "What did I say?" And my grandmother used to tell stories about that going back 40 years ago when he passed. She goes, "Oh no, he comes to see me and he's got this woman who never lets him talk. His guide, probably, because he has a really bad habit of giving out information to alter your path. And maybe
Okay.
we're
All
only
past, you
supposed to
mean? I
get
mean, are
some
you
of that."
talking about all the pasts that you have
Oh,
or
no, because
oh,
you can have lots of lies. But
yeah,
my
okay.
grandfather was instrumental in getting me down a certain path, because there was a certain part of my lineage, it was very important to him to needed to come out. And of course, when you're over there, you
Yeah.
can say, you know so much more.
Right.
And it led me down a road of I have been read by people who've done beautiful, paintings of the entire, while they see something, they're painting it all. And
Mm,
I would have somebody else come in on the heels of that, read me again and validate. I would go full circle. This was my journey of, is this for real? Or,
mhm.
they would just keep validating each other.
Well,
So
that's
I
cool.
knew, okay, this batch of stuff is yes,
Accurate.
yes,
Correct.
yes. And that
That's
to
so cool.
me started paving the way for everything that came after it. And boy, what a ride it's been.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm just excited about, you know, I understand the feeling of growing to know who you are.
Hmm.
Oftentimes people come in for me, Roger. It is random stuff, right? And
Hmm.
there are things that they say that I didn't really appreciate about them on Earth
Right,
that is important to them that
right,
they wanted to reinforce in me.
right.
That's kind of what I'm getting from their appearances when they show up because Roger doesn't know these people. I mean, we've just been married for 6 years, and prior to that, we didn't know each other really, except in high
Mhm.
school.
Right,
And then went off our different ways, and
right.
he never met my family, which is why it is incredible to know that this is for real, you know? They're
Hmm.
really there, and, they come in, very quickly but just enough to give me isn't that crazy how they give you the message without having to say too much?
I know. Try
Isn't that
like
awesome?
synchronicity. Sometimes they give you these little signs. Sometimes I'll give you one example, Faye. When this has happened to me 2 different occasions, and maybe you'll start watching now because I don't believe in coincidence, but I'm a big
No.
believer in synchronicity. I
Yes.
was heading on a 5-hour drive to see my mother. It was the last time I was going to see her,
Mhm.
and we came upon a transport that had my maiden name on it. That
Wow.
and I was like, "Oh." That's the second time in my life that has happened. Sometimes it's something like that. You can look at a house number, you look at just a random
Mhm.
sign, a license plate, and you look at it like you're almost like you're meant to see it. Like this
Yes.
thing slowed down to the point where it's like I was supposed to see it and I looked up. I'm like, right, okay.
That
That's
happened to me in Scotland when,
see.
we were traveling. I
Hmm.
was traveling with my sister, uh, and my daughter, Tanya. We were
Right.
in Scotland, and we were in, Glasgow, and, on a wild taxicab, ride with the
I
taxicab
love
driver.
Glasgow.
I know. The taxicab driver really had us because I couldn't understand anything he was saying. He was speaking English, but
I know,
it
but it's Scottish English.
it's we were right in, going and so I felt we were all 3 of us feeling, my dad, I think, at the time,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, we went past a sign, and we all were gravitated I mean, we were listening to this guy who we didn't understand but there was "urban" on a sign, and, I mean, that's my dad's name, Urban,
See?
and it was like we went so I clicked it, it was
Yeah,
like with my
yeah,
phone like that,
yeah.
but, it was it and we all felt it. We all
See, sometimes it's the
felt
easiest way. The numbers, synchronicities. Like if we just look at your numbers, like 11, 11, 333, 444. Go look
Mhm,
up what that number means and then think about if there's something going on at your life in your life at that specific moment that maybe you need that reassurance or maybe you need that direction. It could be something as
mhm,
simple as that. It could be a sign. It could be, you're just sitting down and you meet somebody and there's just something about that person that reminds you, like you bring people are brought into your life for
absolutely.
certain reasons. It's just I love
Yeah,
synchronicities. I've started to really watch them and I
Uh-huh.
find how much of it is unfolding, and I'm like, this is bang on, all of it.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just easier.
yeah. I mean, if you can look at life, I think that's also a very, I think it's also very reassuring, and it makes you feel really great just to know that all you have to do is step forward in life and experience these coincidences,
Mhm.
but knowing that they're not coincidences, that they're being sent to you for a reason, and just to embrace that and just to believe it.
I agree.
And
I've learned to stop believing in coincidences because
yes,
I believe so much that there are things out there that they don't just randomly happen for nothing. There's something behind. When you see things all line up, that's huge.
there's nothing like it. There's just nothing like the feeling that, it's like confirmation.
Yeah.
One of the things that really was crazy, what that I mean, I think what really kind of turned me to really accepting the fact that I should really maybe do something like Faye's Angels was last February. Way before I was being bugged by my husband to do my own show and so forth, and people who were watching our shows. Uh, all of a sudden, one morning, I came into the kitchen and there was this white feather. It was in the middle of winter. We don't
Mhm.
have any down pillows.
Mhm.
There's this white feather on the floor. Okay. So I thought, oh, so that sort of put a bug in my ear. Thank you. I picked that feather up and I said, "Thank you. I'm not sure I like this, but I do."
Ah, it's
It
always good.
Yeah, it's always good.
It is.
Yeah,
Angels and birds. Birds are messengers from the other side.
right. I mean, yeah, and that too, there are no coincidences, Kathy says.
Mhm.
They are messages from spirit. Yes, thank you,
Agreed.
Kathy. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you all for joining me this evening, and Michelle, and welcome to this wonderful show. I am so very honored and happy that Michelle agreed to be on the show. She has so much to talk about. I mean, people fire away if any have anything that is resonating with you, if you have questions about a spirit, paranormal, extraterrestrial. I mean, I could go on and on. There are so many things. Michelle is well versed in all of that. She is a researcher. She is an experiencer. She experienced it um, on all things. So, and has helped many people go through some dark times in their lives and help them get out of it.
Mhm.
Um, and it has to be very fulfilling for you as well. You must have, it must be once a person has been able to kind of go forward from a bad, I guess, bad experience in their lives with maybe a house that is full of spirit that they don't really like. You were there to help them understand what was there, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Sometimes it wasn't a bad thing. Sometimes it was, and
Sometimes it was, you dealing with ET. Sometimes you're just dealing with, a really malevolent interdimensional being. Some people call them demons. Some people, it depends on your faith as to what you call them, jinn. There are things out there that all they want to do is just wreak havoc on your life and victimize you because, negative energy is what they can feed off of. It makes them stronger. It makes you weaker. You just have to reverse it.
mhm,
Sometimes it is just spirits. I won't say just spirits, but sometimes there's spirits who I've taught people how to coexist with spirits. I'm a living example of coexisting with spirits. It's just knowing who they
mhm,
are and what they want. I remember one specific family, they just had one room, especially where all this activity was going on. And we found out that it was an older man, and every day, in a certain time of day, he used to sit in this room and he wanted quiet. He'd watch a bit of television or he would read, but it was his time. I guess he would come in from work or come in from, plowing the fields or whatever the case may
mhm,
be. And this was his time. Well, now, you have a young family and there were children who were in this room during this
Right.
time, wreaking havoc. So it was just a matter of making a connection between the family and the spirit individual. He goes, I just want quiet in this time. And they said, okay, from now on, because this is your house too,
Mhm.
and they didn't want to send him off. He was aware
Mhm.
he was passed on. He just liked it there. It was his home. So they kept the kids out of that room during this specific time. It was like a 1 hour, all activity stopped.
Wow.
This
That's
just
respecting, just
yes,
a kind of a mutual
yes.
respect, really, is it just a relationship, and I suppose you've had to have the experience of helping, spirit go to the light or whatever,
Mhm.
or to, help them get rid of a really maybe a demonic entity or,
It
uh
happens to spirits as well. I think people need to realize that it's the end game for any malevolent entity, especially of demonics, are soul essence, soul energy. That definitely doesn't cease to be because you pass on. The physical doesn't matter. The physical is what is your demise at the end. It dies, but your
mhm,
essence is not. So when you move on, if you've got something attached to your essence, it can stay with you and it just feeds off your essence. There's many
s
spirit people
s
have tried to hide from these beings when we go into locations who have them. And we have found through the last 5 years, we started delving deeper that many of these spirits still have their attachments and it keeps them from moving forward.
wow, I never thought of that. I mean,
We
we're a
well, we
spirit
find them
man.
and you just remove the attachment from the essence, and then it's like, okay, we've seen spirits. I've got voice recordings of spirits saying, hurry, hurry, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. And then you hear something growling coming in, like they're trying to hide from these things. So if you're a
Wow,
grounded soul, if your soul has moved on, that's entirely different. You don't have that problem. I'm talking
right,
about a grounded spirit who's stuck.
because
It's like
there's
they
this
keep them from moving on. Yeah.
because they didn't get rid of them during their lifetime,
Yeah, or
or
didn't expect, sometimes people don't even realize it. But these ones, boy, when you go over, you pass away, it's just like, oh boy, you
right,
know.
they're still here.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of recordings like that. I spent, 3 years working in one location, um, where the family was picking up all of these types of recordings. And finally the family moved and we just had the house cleared.
Wow,
They didn't want the house cleared.
wow.
So it makes it really difficult. These things remain. It's all about soul energy.
That kinda takes my breath away. Thinks
Yeah, if you're
thinking
stuck, it's really tough because you're kind of still on this plane in a way.
that's so sad. It's too bad that there's not I mean, I'm sure quite happens quite a bit.
More often than people think. And I think there's just some people that don't think to look for that sort of thing.
You know, when we lived, Roger and I, when we were first married, we were living in a house together. Together, it was my house that I purchased the house.
Mhm.
It was in another location, and he moved in, and we were there for a while. And I remember him saying, just about before we moved, he says, there's a dark energy here. There's a shadow. There was a shadow that he kept on
Yeah.
picking up, and I mean, he took care of it, but I was living in that house, and I don't know if where it came from, but I remember going downstairs in the basement and not feeling really great about it.
Mhm.
And it was really, I mean, I had to do my laundry down there. I had to hang the clothes. Since we live in a northern hemisphere state,
Mhm.
I had to. some of my clothes I put on a line in the basement, and so I was
Yeah.
really happy to get out of there as soon as I could, and I
Mhm.
didn't before Roger showed up, I didn't really know
Think
that.
about it,
I
recognize
didn't
it.
want to think about it really, because
Right,
I wasn't
right.
at that spot, but, so I don't know what that was. He was able to remove it, but,
Mhm.
so I think we should also I mean, I think we know when there's something happening, even when we're not, um, a psychic medium or
Well, it's you have this fight or flight sense, when you just wanna book it out of a place pretty quick, but it's also that feeling of butterflies in your stomach, hair going up the back of your neck. Pay attention to things like that. That's your body's defense mechanism. Is trying to tell you, "Ah, something's not right here." Pay
this
attention when that goes on. You
Mhm.
start to feel like that or a little bit of upset stomach, anxiety. Give thought to what could be causing it when you're going into a certain space. Sometimes, you don't go looking for things, but sometimes you
Oh,
just walk into them or
I
you
know.
meet somebody who has
Yes.
them. And these things are known for piggybacking. The spirit can piggyback. Roger, I'm
Yeah.
sure, will tell you, he'll start reading one person. All of a sudden, somebody has nothing to do with this person is like, okay, get out of the way. I got something to say too. Like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, where'd you come from? Well, darker things have a way of piggybacking and they can infect multiple locations at once.
Wow. So in my case, I did not sage the house, but I think that if a person doesn't have a psychic medium close by or whatever, I think, wouldn't it be advisable for them to do the saging of their house or blessing of the house themselves? Or, I mean, what do you say about that? For people doing their own DIY, DIY, do your own. What is that? DIY? I don't know.
Yes. DYO.
I don't know.
Here's, I mean, my thoughts on cleansing. First off, it usually takes more than one time. When I used to help people, I'd say, I want you to cleanse 3 times a day. And then when things calm down, we're gonna taper you off, and then we'll gradually ease out of it. And I always tell people once a week for maintenance because I like sage, so I
Mhm,
like the smell of it. If I have a bad day, I come home and I'll light patchouli or sage or whatever. There's
mhm,
many different things that you can burn that helps you. But at the
mhm,
end, okay, it's not what necessarily what you're using or what you're saying. It's the strength, the power that you put behind the words that you're saying, and
mhm,
it's the intensity of, like, your intention has to be powerful. You have to say what you mean what you say, follow through with it. So it's
mhm,
the intention has to be strong, and you have to put power behind the words. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions of waving a stick around, saying a prayer, or whatever it is you want to say. But boy, you better mean
mhm.
every damn bit of it, and you better put a whole pack a big punch behind all of it.
Right, right. I remember helping my daughter, when she moved into a Victorian here in town, that's Tanya. When just before she moved in, we went through the house and we saged it and we did pray.
Mhm.
Um, it was, because it was one of the first houses that were built here. I mean, that was like 1900, I think is the date of that build of that
Right.
home. And so, I mean, it is a Victorian. It's so adorable. She's got it really done well. And, but at the beginning, she had concerns, she had some weird feelings about it. And so
Mhm.
again, I, just on the faith alone, I of course just did it because I listened to my kids. My kids are
Right.
so much smarter than me. It's true. Here we go. I just want to Jade says, when I moved into a house that someone had a residual attachment, I always do a passing of the torch ritual, paying respect to the previous owners. It seems to make it a lot quieter. That's cool.
Exactly. I
That's
I
awesome.
agree with that. In some cases now you almost have to be verbal about it. You want to sell a house, you almost have to disclose some of it. But I think it's
Uh-huh.
important because you have to have boundaries, and it goes two ways. It's
Right.
not just the spirit individuals that need to respect your boundaries. Sometimes you have to respect theirs. When we had the manor, and it was like a 12-year restoration to bring this
Oh,
house back to its original state, because it was a very rare home.
mm,
Like even when they did an assessment on it for value, they had nothing to compare it to. There was
right.
architects from Scotland that came in, things were brought in from there. Some stuff was done within the area, but we would consult with the spirits and say, okay, this is what we want to do. We would explain everything that was being done. And at one point, because the walls were like 3 feet thick, we thought would have been a doorway in a certain place. So we just asked them, and they went, yes, there was a door here. We took that chance, and we just opened up that wall and found the most unbelievable door with beautiful carved wainscoting inside of it. But
Oh,
somebody made it to it. They turned them into apartments at some point, and
right,
everything got shut off. They
right.
strip all the beautiful things out of it and
I know.
just box it up. But we found this amazing doorway because the spirits told us, yes, yes, it's right there.
That's
And
so
this is
cool.
something they did all the time. So you can really have a good working relationship. I've had people who had spirits who would warn, the homeowners of intruders. They did that at the manor. There was a big security system on the manor and a lot
Mhm.
of lights outside. And somebody came around the property and triggered all the lights, and it went, you could see it from bloody space. I'm sure there was so many big, powerful lights on. And the spirits were just like, they were just repeating names in the house of people who were there, just to make sure that everybody in the house was still moving around looking for who was out there. It's crazy. Because
Wow.
though they will participate.
And they'll be on your side because you're being
'Cause
respectful.
that's right. Because, we would always call them our spirit family.
Mhm.
And it was a great amount of respect there. And this went two ways. And they
Yeah.
loved Wayne. Everybody loves Wayne.
They love Wayne?
They love Wayne because he was fixing everything. In
Oh,
fact,
okay.
like, the house was built for the woman of the house to entertain in. So they were
Okay.
a very wealthy family. And at one point, it's like, Wayne hears this voice and he's going, "Where's your people?" Like, you couldn't believe he was doing it all himself. He goes, "Don't you pay anybody? Don't you ever need to do this for you?" He goes, "I'm my people." Nope, I don't have any people. So
They're all my people.
that's right.
They're all
Exactly.
my people.
Right.
Yeah. Um, that's so cool. That's cool.
Yeah, happy endings.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I don't know. Anybody have something to ask Michelle as we have a little bit of time left? We have a half hour to go, Michelle.
Yeah.
So, well, when I would watch these normal shows, well before married Roger, knowing anything about anything, there were some paranormal shows that really annoyed me because they would go in and just antagonize and uh, order them to appear, and I felt that was just like an intrusion. What are they expecting except whatever is there to be upset with them, and um nothing good would come from that, I wouldn't think. So that's one thing that I just it amazed me that they were even on TV, and
Hmm.
you know those were not
Unfortunately, there's this thing called creative control. And
creative control.
yeah, and usually the people in front of the camera don't have it. So,
Oh,
yeah, I never liked doing investigative shows. I've done it for children shows. I've done that because I've actually worked with children and I've done children shows. Um, because
mhm,
there was a really big interest in that, and I love to work with children. I've done large events that were geared specifically for children
mm.
to do things the right way. You know,
Because they were aware of things that go bump in the night, or what?
children see everything,
Right,
but
okay,
because of all of these paranormal shows, children
okay.
would be really interested, and they started coming out with kids
Oh,
shows geared to the
oh,
paranormal. So, you
okay.
know, I, that's not always a good mix. It really is not always a good mix. But I think when you have no creative control, it's all about ratings. I have turned down my own TV series several times
Mhm.
because I don't want to attach my name to anything ridiculous. I don't want to attach my name to something I could do potential harm to someone else. But even when you look at shows like Paranormal Survivor,
Yeah.
I'll sit there and I'll give a bunch of answers to one question. The only one they end up using is the one that's going to sell ratings, and that's demon. And I
Yeah.
always laugh because I'm like, the whole world thinks I run around screaming demon, yet I'm
Demon.
the most
Demon.
logical person. And I'm liable to say psychokinesis more often than I say, demon. But there's a lot of variables. Not everything is something scary. I
Yeah.
don't believe in provocation. I
Right.
don't,
See.
this is what you're talking about. There's like, well,
Mhm.
how can they go around creating all this havoc? It's lack of respect.
Mhm.
When you're going to somebody's home, you have to be careful because you're going in there and you're going to start peeving something off, and you get to go home, and these people who live there are stuck with that sort of stupidity. So,
Right.
you know, people have to understand that when you're investigating,
Mhm.
whether it's on TV in a haunted place or whether a family asks you to come in and you start asking questions and trying to peeve something off is a big no-no,
Right.
but they are inviting communication. I learned after about 3 years of investigating, because I was researching with somebody else at the time, I'm like, this isn't right. I These people don't want this here because I don't. My area of work was always malevolent hauntings because I didn't have mega issues in doing them. Not
Okay.
that I haven't had experiences,
Mhm. Mhm.
one, to make me reframe how I did things, but I would have a lot of even researchers say, you know, we know we can't help these people. So they would pass them on to me. But I
Mm.
learned that I can't go in someone's house and start requesting communications with something they don't want there because that's a form of invitation. You're inviting it to
Yeah.
talk to you, you're inviting it.
Yeah.
Whether you're
Mhm.
using a phone app, a voice recorder, a Ouija board, a pendulum, a spirit board, whatever the case may be, ghost box, whatever. There's so many things out there now. Flashlight, when you're inviting some kind of communication, and then you get to go home,
Mhm.
the entity or spirit being that's sitting there is going to be like, no, 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 I'm not done communicating. You don't get to just leave. Now I want to talk to people who are here, or I want to, I'm going to come in now, root myself because that invitation has been made, and
Mhm.
it makes it harder. I stopped
Mhm.
investigating altogether. People would
Mhm.
message me and say, what's going on? I would either put them off to somebody in their area, or try to deal with it myself. Now everything's done remotely, so it's easier, but
Mhm.
forget it. I didn't go down that route. I'm like, I don't need the $1 million because it's everybody thinks this piece of recording is going to make me, blah blah blah.
Rich?
No, yeah,
No.
no. I've got hundreds
Mhm.
of hours of amazing recordings, but no, it's not about that. Now you have everybody coming in, and this
Mhm.
is what they want to do because of TV shows.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of different people I've worked with. I mean, a lot. I do a lot of consultations
Mhm.
and creations,
Mhm.
to consult on new TV shows, radio shows, all kinds of things.
Right.
And many people I've worked with have said, I want to tell my story because that's how I can pay it back. Is if somebody can learn from my experience, maybe they
Right.
can recognize it for themselves and get
Mhm.
help. And so I have filled like entire seasons of shows, just
Mhm.
just saying, okay, here you go tell your story, whether I have anything to do with that show or not.
Mhm.
It's just a way, it's part of their healing.
I see. Yeah, I mean, so, y I'm sure that well, the only thing I can compare any knowledge of any investigation, and so Roger does not do paranormal investigations. He doesn't want to because he I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but it's
Yeah.
it's just because of that, he deals with them 24/7 anyway, and
Mhm.
we don't need to, he feels, bring anything unwanted back as well, you know.
You take that chance.
Mhm. There's a lot of risk. I know you have experienced the risk,
I
you
have.
know, full
Mhm.
force, and so has he. And so he has no wish or desire to, um, do that,
Mhm.
to investigate. Now he'll try to do as much help as he can with people, but
Mhm.
that's where it is, you know. So
Investigating isn't for everyone, and
mhm.
unfortunately with the shows, and don't get me wrong, the shows they have their place. You have to look at
Yeah.
them as entertainment. They have their place. So many people have found me because of the shows that I've done, and it's just the reason why I've done them. And with that being said, there's a lot of people out there who emulate. So they have their own, well, we're going to make this group, we're going to go out there, we're going to investigate. And they come in with this attitude with people. Like, don't get me wrong, there's like phenomenal researchers out there. Many of these people I recommend to people who need help and want investigations. But there are those who are very new in the field who don't have a lot of experience and will go into a home and say, "Well, you're lucky we're here to help you." I'm like, "See, right there, that's wrong." And they go in and do all these crazy antics. I was like, I would go into a place in my investigation days and say, "You know what? Thank you for entrusting yourself and your family to me. This is a big deal. Relax for a
Mhm.
while. Let us take the weight for a while. Let us do
Mhm.
it for a while. You just let us do this. Don't worry about it." We don't go and do stupid things. It's just like, I will set up I would, well, I don't, I've investigated in years, but I would set up recorders all over the place and cameras. Then I
Mhm.
would just sit down and have dialect with the family because I'm there for the family. I don't care about what else is there because I remember I'm dealing with my malevolent things. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is how the family is feeling, trying
Mhm.
to refocus their mindset a little bit. I want to
Mhm.
hear what they have to say and what is it
Mhm.
like to sit with them on a night when something's going on?
Mhm.
This thing is going to do one of two things. It's going to go really quiet in hopes that I go away and don't come back. But when I'm
Mhm.
talking to the
Mhm.
family and they're telling me what's going on, they just can't seem to help it. So they just get right in there. I've gotten some of the best recordings by not communicating with them at all.
Mhm. 'Cause they want
And
to interfere and they want to maybe scare you probably,
and
or
they want to take attention away from the family.
mhm.
And I don't care about it or them. I
So I'm
care
sure
about the people.
while you're talking to them, you're probably seeing this happen, behind you, or are you
Oh, yeah,
t
you could hear things like walking around, scratching, doors opening and closing, or, a lot of, phantom sounds, like and when I say phantom sounds, it's like something you don't hear right away, and then when I get back and listen to the recording, I've got chains being dragged across an old wooden floor. Meanwhile, it was carpet in that area.
Wow.
Or,
Wow.
oh, yeah, just things walking around, knocking, growling, popping, scratching. I'm just like, "Oh," and I get called every name in the book. So I'm
Oh,
just
I
like,
see.
I know. The C words are a
Is a
favorite,
favorite?
and I'm like, I know, but I wouldn't have to be that way if you just like buggered off, like I just, it's a little sarcasm without provoking. It's just like, I know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's the way it is. Yes, I am. I know. you
So
know,
have you ever been afraid yourself? I mean, do you ever get afraid? Were you ever experiencing fear yourself, or did you,
um,
I can't
I
imagine it being a pleasant experience for yourself that you could see them, you can hear them. I don't know. What
I
am I
don't.
asking?
It's
I don't know.
unnerving, but
Mhm.
does it instill fear? I've never. I won't say never. I get startled like anybody else. If you jump out from around the corner at me, I'm going to be hanging off the ceiling. Like, what is
Okay.
that? You know, but
Well,
it's
good
the
to
same
know.
thing if it's something you can't see. You feel on edge when you're going room to room because you have to get a feel, for what's there, what's
Okay.
lurking. They're not just going to come right out and go, "Hey, I'm here." It's a lot of what I call mind ninja games.
Okay.
There's like this, it's the little subtle things to try to get reactions. Like, I mean, I've walked around with a recorder and I've had something right behind me just going like growling, and I the hairs on the back of your neck, and I know it's there. I don't always hear it with the naked ear. Like when I don't pick it up till I get the recording. So it's more of an on edge feeling. But you
Sure.
also have to remember, I spent time. This is what it was like, what I grew up with for several years. So I got used to that feeling. It's almost like you become conditioned to it in a way.
Okay.
So I think that's maybe why I handled it a little bit differently.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. So, because I come from not having in my real life, I mean, when I was having back to when I was having that angelic clearing,
Mm,
I ended it was quite emotional for me. And when I was done, we were chatting for a while. And I said, I've never really seen or heard any of any spirit. And she goes, they're right behind you right now. And why don't you want to know who they are? I said,
mhm.
are there, she said, they're all around you. And she said, you've got many watching you, helping you,
Thanks,
guiding you.
Roger.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah,
know. And I said, well, it
yeah,
didn't spook it. Actually, she
right,
said it in a way that didn't spook me.
right, right.
But it was like a like what shall I say? A light bulb went off. Like,
Mhm.
what is making me so edgy about not wanting to know these people? And so
Takes
it was
getting
very
used
helpful.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that though, because, you don't know who they are. And it
Mhm.
it happened to me one time where I had a recording and I had a medium there. She goes, "This person is from a past life." And they kept pleading with me to communicate, but I'm like, I'm sorry, like I don't know you, so I don't feel that kinship, or I don't feel that need. So it's similar to how it is for you. You've got these people, but if you don't know them because you can't tap into them,
Mhm.
or you're on your journey of discovery, I think, is starting for you
Mhm.
in different ways. And I think you'll start to see doors open, and it'll start to unfold for you, and you might find yourself being more at ease with it.
Yeah. And I think that is true. I've heard that before where you don't
Yeah.
have to rush it. Don't feel
No.
compelled to know everything and to just be honest with yourself.
Mhm.
Um, just continue on your own journey. I mean,
Yes.
and whether it ends up me being able to see them all, it doesn't really matter. I'm just grateful for the experience right now, tell you the truth.
But see,
Um,
your key words is it's your journey.
yeah.
So you have to do it at your pace, because
Mhm.
if you don't, you're gonna miss it. You might
Yeah.
miss little things because you're not ready for it. Then you won't miss those little things if you are ready for it and willing to accept them as it starts coming in. You may just want to put out your boundaries and just say, "No floodgates, please. Baby steps." And you might
Yeah.
start getting really little things happening that you can look at that and say, "Oh my God, yes, okay, I understand this." You need time to digest it, and you need to just be clear about that. Baby steps, need to digest this. No floodgates, not ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that, and, I mean, Roger and I are in tune with each other quite a bit, I'm sure, we're husband and wife,
Yeah, of
but
course.
there's there's sometimes when it's really uncanny, and, I just laugh because I don't know where the thought came from, and we'll say something, simultaneously in the
Right.
same way,
But that's a good connection.
we have a really great connection. It is I'm very happy for it. I mean,
Yes. Some
that was
people
a
go their whole lives without getting that, so Good kudos to you guys.
Well, thank you. I mean, we both made mistakes along the way in our early years. But there were good things that happened out of all of them because
Mhm.
we learned something. And I mean, it's not to say that the people we were with were bad people. We were just not the right people for those people, I think.
Well, it's
And
exact it's part of your evolution, though.
yeah,
Say sometimes you evolve we evolve faster than those that are in our lives, and not everybody can pop on your journey with you, or they can't go as quick as you. All you can do is keep going. Never hinder your own evolution because somebody can't catch up. If they're meant to catch up, they will. If they're not, you have to keep moving. And it sounds to me it's exactly what you both have done. And in doing so, it brought you full circle back to one another.
it was crazy the way we did it because while he was in Texas, he was saying prayers of manifesting someone that
Mm.
was right for him. And I was doing the same thing in Minnesota. I didn't have him on my mind. He
Mhm.
didn't have me in his mind, but
Mhm.
it just kind of happened, very, unusually. It was a coincidence, really, because it was with the help of our classmates, but they didn't know what they were doing at the time. I'm not gonna
Right.
go into the story because people
Right.
have heard it so many times, but it was like those are the coincidences. And I think the final thing, I mean, it was 10 years. I hadn't been married for 10 years, and I think for him it was a long time too, but the last thing that happened to me is when my sister, suggested to me that we should be, travel partners for the rest of our lives. I prayed
Mm,
to God that night
that's a good way of
that
putting it.
I prayed to God. I said, "God, hear me now. I do not want to have the rest of my life spent traveling as an old maid with my sister." And that is what I said. I said, "Please, it's time. Bring him to me now." Honestly, that was my last prayer. And
Right.
shortly thereafter, things popped. It was a succession of different things. So I mean, I believe in manifesting is a very real thing for me as
Mhm.
well. And I felt
I
like it was
same.
crazy the way Roger appeared because uh he appeared exactly how I told a friend of mine that summer ahead of it. I mean, it was just so crazy. So I'm telling folks here, if and then they probably all believe the same. I mean, they all I know that they watch you, some watch us, but that manifesting thing it's for even for a person who has very little faith, if you will,
Mhm.
it is very real. You just have to believe it. You do, and I did, and
I
I was
agree.
very frantic when I said it to the last time to God. I said, "Please make this not happen to me."
Right. That's how bad you wanna manifest it, I guess. But it looks like it worked in your favor, whatever
Yeah.
it
I love
was.
my sister, but I didn't wanna spend all my life, just traveling with her.
Just
Y
her, yes.
just her. Yeah.
No, I do. I believe in the power of positive thinking. I believe in mindset in a really, really big way, I do, because we are powerful, powerful beings. We really
That's
are.
another thing. Yes.
We are. And what hinders us is our physical.
Okay,
If we
sure.
could fly, we would. But who's to
Yeah.
say we don't fly when we lay our head down at night? It's like, would you sleep in your parked car at night? No, no, you wouldn't. You'd find a way to get out of the car. You wouldn't sleep in the garage. You'd go out and you would do something. I think it's the same way. There's a lot of people who have the same belief. When we lay our head down at night and the body is at rest, because it's only the body that needs the rest. It's not our essence. I believe that we do. Maybe we go home. We go home and that's our existence. And then this is just like coming back to work or school the next day. All right, back in the meat sack. Let's go. Yeah.
Sure.
It's like,
Yeah. I mean, that dream state can be quite,
mhm.
crazy.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
agree.
I am starting to remember my dreams now because I don't know why. I guess
Keep
it's
a
because
log.
I do.
Yes.
If it happens, I will write it down. In fact, I've started to journal. I've started to journal, and the journal is a combination of my thoughts, letters to my parents who have passed, and current events of my current events here. So I think it's helped me open up as well, and to find out who I really am, and
Mm.
to
Yes.
reflect, and everything. I think it's really awesome to do it.
It's it'll open you keep opening up. Once you start, like it's like you become a receiver. Once you unclog those lines, and the
Hmm.
messages and the signals just keep coming in, it starts to get easier. It is all about vibration and frequency. It really is. And if you can tap into that, it just gets so much easier. A lot of the music, the things that I hear, it's all frequency. I could just pick up on it. It's crazy. It's hard to explain, but it's not like I just hear random music. I could hear the frequency behind everything. Sometimes I'll be listening to something even on the radio, all of a sudden I'm hearing a frequency coming in.
I know.
It's like I
I
can
mean,
hear it behind the music and the words.
sometimes I will, when I'm dreaming, I will wake up remembering some really beautiful music.
Yeah,
And it might be even something that is on the radio, but it is of a bigger proportion, or I don't even know how to explain it.
right.
It is like magnificent, and it's, hi, everybody. Hi, Norma. Norma from Crookston, Minnesota. Hello. I think she's from Crookston. Am I getting the right thing? Right, Norma. I'm sorry if I if I don't remember the right Norma. But yeah, I mean, waking up to remembering some, and then I'll be kind of thinking about it in the, kind of awake, standing, and I'm going, wow, that's really cool.
Right.
But do you think I can duplicate or replicate that? No, I
Of
can't.
course not.
No,
You should be thankful you can at least remember the little tidbits that you
I
do.
know, right?
You know?
Oh,
Just a challenge sometimes because I also get, like, downloads, from ET, and those
oh,
downloads have when I started researching, I find myself in all these different directions. It's like I do exactly what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes if I'm working on something, I have that information almost immediate. I'll say, "Oh, I don't know that. 1 minute," and bam, and I blabber it off, and it's like, "Well, how do you know that?" "I don't know, because it was just given to
yeah.
me, so it's gotta be it." Like, I
I
stopped
know.
questioning it, you
I
know?
know. I know that that is crazy too. I realize I know that too. I mean, I've recently that's happened to me. That's
Oh,
yeah. It's like, why do I know that information? Where did that come from?
right.
How do I
See?
know how to do that? Where
So
did
you have
that
to
come
stop questioning it, and maybe the key
from?
is just accept it, and then more starts coming in,
Mhm. Well,
because
this
sometimes
is really
I'm meant to help somebody, something comes through and I'm literally given images of individuals or, trapped spirits. I'm just given information. I'm given names. But that comes
mm,
like in a weird download or wee hours of the morning visions or something like that.
wow.
It's not like it just pops in. It's just strange. And when we go in and I try to find information and we do a tap and it's like, oh crap, okay, this is the person. Weird, just weird how it happens. The universe is an incredible, incredible place. And we're
I
part
know.
of that. Our
I know.
energy is all one. It really is. It's all one.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yes. The law of one.
Well, you know what? We're 5 minutes away from 5:30 our time, 6:30
Yeah.
your time, and
Yeah.
I just wanna give a shout out to everybody who's been on the show and have supported me, have come on to, and from your YouTube channel too, Michelle. Thank you for connecting them with us today.
Pleasure.
Um, this has been a fascinating talk. As you promised that you could you you have a lot to say, and that's why I'm so glad you're here, because you've inspired me after I got to know you a little, you've always been an inspiration to me, and I
Thank
just
you.
want to say thank you for appearing today. And
Oh,
you know
you're
what?
so
We
welcome.
have
It's a
Roger
pleasure.
just can't stay away. He has to say hello. Because
Hello.
he's been quiet. He's been wanting to talk all night, haven't you, honey? So he's leaving now. I just want to kind of put up here some of the things. And folks, I want to tell you, have not been ignoring you. I want to thank you for all of your chats, all of the information you've given us. And Maria says you can find that feel good frequency even if you can't get that exact song back. That's what I was talking about last night. Yeah.
Mhm.
Roger and Maria were having a wonderful conversation last night about her own journey. She's an incredible young woman herself.
Very nice.
Yeah, Kelly says Roger told me when you wake up with a song in your head, your loved ones were singing it to you. Oh, that's a thought. There's a
Music
good
makes
thought.
the world go round. It is the universal language. Remember that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think what helps me if I don't have time to meditate, and I'm telling you again, I'm not the best meditator. I try to work that out. But if I don't have time to meditate, I will alternatively just quietly listen to music. The
Exactly.
music itself brings me away, and I can at least have quiet time with the music.
Yes.
Um, and it calms me. It grounds me. Music grounds me.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. As it
Um,
should.
yeah,
Like I said,
I
it's a
think it's all good.
universal language, you
So
know?
anyway, folks, I just want to say um, thank you for joining me on my show. Thank you for appearing. Please tell your friends and family that I do this every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern time. And I hope to have I have people lined up all for November and December. I can't believe they said yes. I mean, it's
Listen to
just
you.
amazing. I mean, honestly.
Mm.
But you'll get a post soon, and be sure to watch Michelle. She's here on the UPRN channel, and she has a show, The Outer Realm, on Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Very fascinating guests on that show.
Thank you.
Authors, people that make my head, my mind expand. Thank you for that show. For that show you do.
Thank you.
And
We love doing it.
yeah, and I hope that someday you'll be back again just to talk some more.
Pleasure.
And
Pleasure.
and Michelle's, you know, thank you. Thank you for all you know. So,
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
everyone, good night. God bless. See you soon. Bye bye.